generally speaking, I don't want to cover things that I'm going out. Let me take that back. I will cover anything that is newsworthy, but I will spend less time on things that I feel like I'm going to have a rather negative opinion about. But we have to talk about this ever so briefly. Hello, nerds. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of The Week in Nerdom. I am Generally Nerdy. This is my channel. These are the things we talk about. Today's episode is a big one. Just giving you a heads up. We've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Before we jump into it, though, I just wanted to let you know first that today's episode is sponsored by the shirt I am wearing. You can find it on generallynerdy.net. It comes in this lovely black color. It also comes in the red color. It's the one that, we did last time. But yes, it is the "Do you even pop culture, bro?" shirt. Again, find that over on generallynerdy.net. Click on the General Stores tab at the top and you will see the Teespring store, and that is where this guy is available. Check out the little design on the back too. I'm pretty proud of that. Anyway, that is our sponsor. And also, before we jump into the proper intro, click the thumbs up, give me a like, do the thing, because that is, it's free. All you got to do is say, "Hey, I like this," and YouTube will be like, "All right, here's more." That's how that works. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Anyway, let's get into the episode. Housekeeping and shoutouts for the episode today are as follows. So we do have a couple of people to talk about in the shoutouts. So let's just get those out of the way real quick. We have Brian, who is at Comics and Wine on Instagram. He is a new follower and actually has joined the conversation in the DMs. I appreciate you, Brian. Shout out to you, sir. Let's get a little bit more public with our conversations on the Twitter, if that's possible. I also appreciate the name Comics and Wine. I like your style. Not much of a wine drinker myself, but I'm a comics and beer kind of guy. So that is Brian. And we also have Scott, who is comic drawing today. That is at comic _ drawing _ today. Scott, just a new follower. Welcome, Scott. And then over on the Twitter, we have Silence. It's spelled a little goofy. I'm going to put the actual @ up on the screen if you're watching. If you're not watching and you're just listening, I will try and work out, because I didn't write down his @ and I apologize. But he is a new follower on the Twitter. And then big shout outs again to Mr. Ronnie the Baron over on the Twitters as well. Ron Barr 316. He is one of my compatriots over at the Nerdy Legion. He is doing scores of good for the Generally Nerdy camp, so much appreciated. Welcome to the fold, you nerds. Things are moving forward with the mission, and once again, the mission is to try and expand the socials. You can find me at Twitter, on Twitter at generally _ nerdy, Instagram at generally nerdy, Facebook at generally nerdy, TikTok at generally nerdy. And that is about to become a little bit more of an interesting situation too, the TikToks and the things. I have plans. Remember I said I'm going to be testing out ideas? Well, TikTok is going to be the focus for the next probably month. So if you're not already following me there and you want your daily dose quickly of nerd news, then definitely put that down on the things to do, is to follow Generally Nerdy on TikTok. Also, Twitch. I am trying to get a regular on the Wednesday streams on Twitch, so if you want to join the conversation there, that is a great way to do it. Wednesday, Generally Nerdy on Twitch is at generally _ nerdy with 2 N's, because I had reasons. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that is housekeeping. That is shout outs. Once again, welcome to the fold, nerds. Now let's get into the news. Music news is interesting today. So we have a couple of follow-ups. First up is a follow-up on that Soulfly bit that we were talking about in the last episode. Mark Rizzo, the mysterious guitar player who the announcement hadn't come through as to whether or not he'd quit, been fired, or was just on hiatus with the band after 18 years, according to Mark, has been fired. According to Max Cavalera, who is the leader of Soulfly, also has been fired. We just decided to go a different direction, is the pleasant way of saying we didn't want to work with him anymore. No other real reason was given for that. It was stated as personal reasons, and it was a little, from the way that Rizzo made it sound, it was a little shady, but I would expect nothing less from Max Cavalera because my experiences with him professionally, I do have one. I was doing promotion for a show, and the band that I was specifically promoting for was kicked off the show because they were locals, and he didn't want locals on the bill. Yes, that is the attitude of Max Cavalera, so I kind of am one to believe what Rizzo has to say about the situation. Anyway, so that is the follow-up there. Again, Dino is taking his place. So it's kind of a cool thing from a musical standpoint. Like, I'm really interested to see what, if any, difference Dino is going to make. Dino Casares, once again, from Fear Factory. But yeah, we're rambling about a thing we've already talked about. Let's move to the next follow-up, and this has to do with the Limp Bizkit tour. This one is probably a blessing in disguise, I would think. So that very short tour that they had scheduled has now been canceled. So Spirit Box was the opening act. I believe there was a couple other bands on the bill, but Spirit Box is the only one that's coming to me. But the remaining dates, there was approximately 5 or 6 of them left, have all been canceled for this tour due to health concerns. The reason why I pulled the trigger and have decided to most likely not go to, I say most likely because there's a thin possibility I will go to a day of Comic-Con this year just to scratch an itch, but will not be doing regular Comic-Con coverage here on the channel for the same reason, because things are going to start getting shut down. It's just the way it looks to me right now. I don't necessarily agree with the shutdown, I just know it's coming. Anyway, so Limp Bizkit has done the same thing. And yeah, so no word yet if these dates are going to get rescheduled at all. It did say explicitly that they are canceled for health concerns. Who knows what the future holds at this point, but we are moving right along into new music and videos. We have one new music video to talk about, and this is one that we've been keeping tabs on for a moment. Coheed and Cambria's new record is about to come out, and so they have released a new song called Shoulders with a new music video for it. So go check it out. Not a huge Coheed and Cambria fan. This didn't do much to make that any better, but it's pretty on par. If you like Coheed, then you'll probably like this track. So that is that. Moving into the actual news, we have something interesting. We have another billionaire announcement in the actual news. Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine has crossed 1 billion streams on Spotify. So congratulations to GNR. Now this song is available to play on the Billionaires Club playlist. If you are a Spotify listener, then you just got one song richer on that playlist. I'm very interested. I have yet to check out this actual playlist because I know Spotify curates it themselves, but it's pretty cool, man. This is another one of those songs that I'm kind of surprised it took this long to get over 1 billion streams, but whatever. Our next piece of music news has to do with the top of the charts right now. So the top of the pop charts is a very interesting place. The new Billie Eilish record, as could be expected, is at the very tip top, but right behind Billie Eilish is Prince. That's right, a posthumous record from Prince is number 2 on the American pop charts right now. This is the first full-length record released from Prince posthumously. There has been plenty of music released. This is the first full-length, full band, full everything record released. And this is, we're starting to dip into that ever so elusive vault that Kevin Smith told us about years ago in That Evening with Kevin Smith, where he was talking about how he's making a documentary that he found out was never going to see the light of day because this isn't the first time such things have happened. So really awesome. I'm super happy about the new Prince, well, new to us Prince music. And yeah, definitely go check it out. The name of this record is Welcome to America. So there you go. Check that out. And then the Billie Eilish record is Happier Than Ever, which is we knew this. We talked about this when she originally announced it. Moving on to our last piece of music news. This one is a bit of a downer. Jazzfest, the New Orleans music festival that happens every freaking year. It is a staple in a lot of big bands' summer tours, has been canceled for the second year in a row. It was going to just get pushed back to December of this year, but again, amongst growing health concerns, the signs are all pointing in this direction, nerds. Amongst growing health concerns, they have decided to cancel it once again. It now has been moved to 2 weeks in April. Those 2 weeks are the weekends of April 29th and May 8th. Sad times with silver linings, I suppose, but that's the end of the music section, nerds. Gaming and Tech is all follow-ups for this episode. So our first follow-up is Apex Legends. We are talking Seer. He has finally been released with the new update for the game, and wow, is he a little overpowered. And by a little, I mean, he's the #1 pick since he's launched. He is the #1 person picked by everyone across the game. So that kind of tells you something, but also just... Even at this point, Respawn is saying, okay, we screwed up. We'll nerf him. Already, he's only been out for what, 2 weeks at this point? Already he's catching a nerf from Respawn Entertainment. That should be coming very soon. We should be seeing a patch within the next 2 weeks is the way they made it sound, though an exact date has not been given. Next, let's talk briefly about Rocket League. Rocket League is giving us Season 4 here very soon, and with Season 4, we're getting the expected updates, new arena, new cars, so on and so forth. If you have a Rocket Pass, you get more than the regular Joes who don't have a Rocket Pass, but if you are a streamer, then Psyonix is watching your back. You will be able to turn off copyrighted music on Rocket League after this next update. Once Season 4 launches, that is going to be an option. You just go into your settings and switch copyrighted music off. Some of the areas of the game will go without music should this be activated, but it sounds like gameplay is going to have copyright-free music behind it. So if you have music in the game still, you haven't shut it off entirely, or you want to turn it back on, then that is the way to do it if you're going to be streaming. That, though, is the end of Gaming and Tech, nerds. Comic books and books. Let's get into some meta news, actually, dealing with comic books and books. First, though, we have a follow-up on the Batman '89 comic book series, and that has to do with Robin. We've got some artwork. If you're watching, you should see the artwork on screen. Super excited about this. Most of all, super excited about this because if you remember, nerds, you should know this, Marlon Wayans was actually cast to be Robin in the Tim Burton Batman movies. Well, in the comic book for the Tim Burton Batman movies, where Batman looks like Michael Keaton still, we have a Black Robin. It doesn't necessarily look like they're keeping Marlon Wayans' face, but still staying in line with what they had planned. We also are seeing Harvey Dent and all of the whole crew. It's shaping up to be so awesome. We just had to touch on this real quick. That being said, let's get into the news for the section. News for today's comic book section, again, is a bit meta. First up, we're talking about Wizard World. They have officially sold off all of their conventions to Fan Expo. If you remember, we covered, it was probably 2 months ago at this point, that Denver Comic-Con had also sold their, well, I guess it was Pop Culture Classroom has sold Denver Comic-Con to Fan Expo as well. So now with the acquisition of these Wizard World Comic-Cons, the Fan Expo count is now up to 17. There is now 17 different Fan Expo events. The big one for Wizard World was Chicago. Chicago was kind of the notorious, if you're gonna go to Wizard World, it's this one. I've been to one Wizard World and they don't really compare to regular Comic-Cons, but I haven't been to the Chicago one, so I could be way off base with that. But the 2021 Chicago event will still bear the name Wizard World for just this final year. As of 22, they will all be Fan Expo. And that is the way of the world at this point. I mean, struggle happens in areas and somebody swoops in to save, but they save on their own terms. So that is the direction that is going. We're moving next to our final piece. This is an announcement for a new Orville comic book. It's called Orville Artifacts. This is more stopgap stuff so that we can get all of the Orville content we want while they finish up on season 3, hopefully. But yeah, Orville Artifacts is going to be out in October, rather. It's a new 2-book arc from executive producer and writer David A. Goodman. And yeah, there's a little bit of stuff, but it's really, we're going on a mission to places where nobody's gone before, is basically how the synopsis breaks down. It is a very, very Star Trek homage kind of synopsis, I guess is the best way to put that. So interested, but hopefully we get season 3 of the show soon so that we can stop chomping at the bit. That is, though, all we have in comic books and books. TV streaming is starting off on a weird note, because generally speaking, I don't want to cover things that I'm going out. Let me take that back. I will cover anything that is newsworthy, but I will spend less time on things that I feel like I'm going to have a rather negative opinion about. But we have to talk about this ever so briefly. Wednesday on Netflix is making some casting announcements, and we got 2 big ones since the last episode. The first being Catherine Zeta-Jones, well, the most recent being Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia, and then the big one being Gomez has been announced to be played by Luis Guzman. I really appreciate Luis Guzman. I think he's a very funny actor. I think he's actually a pretty good actor. If you saw him in Shameless, he can pull off a lot. Can he pull off the energy of a Gomez Addams? Really don't think so. This does not bode well for the show. He could surprise me. I will leave that one open. But as it stands right now, this is definitely taking a bit of a turn for the worse in my mind. And so that's all we really have for follow-ups. Next, we're going to move into trailers. We have quite a few trailers. So first, we have that animated Witcher prequel, The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. Go check out this one. This has got me a little interested in checking this out. I wasn't originally planning on necessarily checking it out, but woohoo, buddy! The Witcher, the series premieres August 23rd on Netflix. Next, we're talking about Midnight Mass. Midnight Mass is the Flanagan, the new Flanagan series on Netflix, the new horror series. Super excited about this. The trailer so far also is doing a lot to hype me up for that, so go check that out. Season 4 for Stranger Things has released a little trailer thing, kind of a little bit. Actually, like 90% of the video that is linked down low is not really new. There is a couple of new shots, like one specifically dealing with 11, but it's still something to do with Stranger Things, and man, we just gotta eat that up a little bit. No release date for Stranger Things yet either, so yeah, moving right along. Next, we have Lucifer Season 6. This one does have a release date, September 10th. If you're a Lucifer fan, it looks like you are going to be in for a treat. Not much of a Lucifer fan myself, so moving right along. Then we have Doom Patrol Season 3. September 23rd is the release date for this one. We were going to be getting the first 3 episodes of this season on the 23rd, and then they will release presumably weekly from there. This looks bonkers. This definitely looks like it's kind of a little bit of Legion getting in there with our Doom Patrol, so yeah, I'm intrigued for sure. That's definitely one of the better series from the DC universe. And then The Boys Season 3 got another viral, not necessarily trailer, but a viral video from the VOT News Industries or News Network or whatever it is. Very interesting. I'm super excited. This is another one we don't really have a release date for, but they're giving us bits and pieces and just kind of slowly feeding us what's going to happen. So yes, please and thank you. All right, so now let's get into news, and this is a big one. Crunchyroll has been bought out by Funimation. They are going to become one anime outlet. That is kind of big news, and the implications kind of ripple throughout the industry because Crunchyroll was owned by AT&T, and now they're owned by Sony. So where is that content gonna go? Is it gonna stay on HBO Max? No announcement specifically has been made there, but we definitely know that VRV is not going to have that content anymore. So this is kind of massive. Next, we're moving into a couple of passings, and the first one they both have me a little sad. So first up, we have Markie Post, who was on Night Court. She's done a number of things through the 80s and early 90s as far as series go. Night Court was the first big show that I remember watching with my dad. That and Cheers, and then Johnny Carson. But the early days of nerddom, of following storylines in serialized television and stuff, had a lot to do with Markie Post. She was kind of peripheral when I was a kid, and even watching reruns as a teenager through my adulthood, I grew to appreciate that character a little bit more as I got older because of, I don't know, it's just written really well. Anyway, Markie Post, she passed from battles with cancer. She was 70 years old, so we're going to briefly take a moment for Markie Post. And then, again, two passings. Trevor Moore from The Whitest Kids You Know, comedy writer extraordinaire, and, I mean, honestly, who doesn't love Whitest Kids You Know? But he died. He was only 41, and the specifics of his passing have not been given out necessarily, aside to say that it was an accident. And, he is no longer with us. So, moment of silence also for Trevor Moore. And that's what we got for TV streaming. Jumping into the movie section, we're going to start things off in a weird place. There's a lot of weird in today's episode. Jackass 4 is in our follow-up section, and that's because Bam Margera is suing everybody involved. Basically, the big names are Paramount Pictures, MTV Networks, Jeff Tremaine, Johnny Knoxville, and Spike Jonze are all the suants, the people that he's suing for kicking him out of the movie, effectively. There's a lot of back and forth as to whether or not he violated his wellness clause in his contract, saying that he would maintain good mental health throughout the filming of this, and that had to do with drugs and alcohol consumption and so on and so forth. So they're trying to say he violated. He's saying he didn't because he was prescribed drugs and so on and so forth. So that is kind of the ugly part of the legal battle. The part that makes a little bit of sense to me, that I think Bam definitely has a leg to stand on, is he's saying that he is owed at least some sort of credit for the creation of Jackass, as it wouldn't exist without his CKY videos back in the day. And I think there is a strong case to be made there. Yes, the Big Brother videos also factored into that heavily, but a lot of that CKY footage is what made up season 1 of Jackass, which then became these movies. So I think this is going to get really interesting. So let's shake that weird off real quick and let's jump into our next piece of follow-up news, and that is Sonic 2. So Sonic 2 has just made a casting announcement that Idris Elba is going to be joining the cast for this movie. How have they cast one of the greatest actors of our time as the voice of Knuckles? Yeah, that's a different kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. He's going to be great. He's always great. He's the best thing about the freaking Suicide Squad movie. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. It'll be a good 3 afternoons that he does his work in, and then he's going to make a giant paycheck for it. So congratulations, I guess, to Idris Elba, and also to the Sonic franchise, because that's just a boon to everybody. So moving right along, we are now talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So this is feeding into rumors that we're going to be talking about in the rumor section, and that is that the international release date for this movie has been pushed back by Sony. So in New Zealand, it was originally going to be released September 23rd. Now it is going to be released on October 14th. So they've pushed it back 3 weeks for undisclosed reasons. They've honestly haven't even made the proper announcement that it's going to get pushed back. What they've done is they've put it on all of the promotional material. They just changed it. So very strange. But this, again, is feeding into some other rumors that honestly, I found the rumor before this was announced, or before this was made known anyway. So yeah, we're gonna move right along. Our next piece of movie news is a bit more meta and is actual news. It's not follow-ups, it's not trailers, it's not nothing. It's just news. So we have movie theaters are back in the news, this time AMC specifically, and it's because that they have struck a deal with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers and AMC. We knew that this was coming because we knew that AMC was super unhappy with the announcement from Warner Brothers that they're going to be releasing everything simultaneously over the next year, both on the streaming platform, HBO Max, as well as in theaters. So now they have come to an agreement with AMC that there will be a 45-day exclusivity contract with all Warner Brothers movies when they launch. So when The Batman finally launches, it will be in theaters only for the first 45 days, and then will be released onto HBO Max. So, I mean, potentially, as long as the movie theaters stay open, this is a good thing. But again, we're gonna get into that in the rumor mill. So, that is all we have for the movie section. All right, now, rumor mill. This is, what a lot of people come for, I'm sure. Anyway, so first thing, we're going to talk once again about that Commissioner Gordon rumor. This is kind of a follow-up rumor, but it's coming now from a much better place. We now have the Hollywood Reporter also reporting on this rumor. So kind of gives it a little bit more validity, but there is still nothing concrete here, which is why it's still technically a rumor. And even what THR is reporting on is that there is conversations with J.K. Simmons to come back as Commissioner Gordon. Not that any sort of contracts have been signed or anything like that. So still, maybe yes, no, a little bit. I hope so, but I mean, we're going to keep this one right where we had it last time. We had it about 50%. Just because THR is reporting on it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be any more valid, so we're going to keep it where it was. But let's get into some new rumors, shall we? MCU movie releases rumored to be getting pushed back. First, we have Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, as well as Venom, Let There Be Carnage. All of these are being rumored to be pushed back. There's a lot of weird things going on behind the scenes. There is some of the promotional materials are taking out the vocabulary of in theaters only and are saying in theaters, and it's just kind of weird things are pointing in this direction. And then, again, we got the announcement of that international release issue where that got pushed back in New Zealand and so on and so on. And the ball just keeps rolling downhill. We're going to give this one a likelihood rating. And that likelihood that these are going to get pushed back seems pretty solid. I'm going to say probably 70% likelihood that these will at least get bumped a little bit. Not necessarily pushed back a whole year like we had to do with a number of times last year, but I feel like 3 weeks to a month and a half, somewhere in that neighborhood for each of these movies kind of makes sense. So our next rumor has to do with Harley Quinn. So this is kind of piggybacking on the news that Margot Robbie wanted to take a break from the character. Well, according to this rumor, Warner Brothers doesn't want the character to take a break. So this new rumor is saying that they are looking at Kaylee Cuoco to play Harley Quinn in live action, as well as voice her in the animated series Harley Quinn. This one doesn't seem to hold a lot of water because we did get an update to that Margot Robbie wanting to take a break thing, saying that she thinks she'll be ready to play the character again soon. We didn't cover it here. We talked about it on the social medias. You should be following me there. So yeah, not super likely. I'm going to put the likelihood of them recasting Harley Quinn, at least in the next 2 to 3 years, pretty slim. I think even once Margot Robbie is done playing the character, it's gonna take a minute for them to recast and want to reuse that character. So the likelihood that Kaley Cuoco, we'll do this in 2 likelihoods. The likelihood that Kaley Cuoco will play Harley Quinn in live action, I think that's almost non-existent. We're gonna put that about 10% likelihood. The likelihood that they will recast Harley Quinn at all in live action sometime in the next 3 years or so, that one, I'll put it about 30%, because again, if she is legitimately done, if she comes to the end of this break and says, you know what, I'm just done with Harley, then that means that process is already in the middle of being in motion. I don't see that as likely, but it is a possibility. So there you go. Moving right along, we're talking about Matt Reeves' The Batman, the prequel series to the Batman movie that Matt Reeves is working on now. He is also executive producing on HBO Max. It's coming out later. This is not rumor. This is actual news. We know this. So the rumor here is what the working title for this series is. We know that it's going to focus on the Gotham City Police Department. We also know it's going to be a prequel. It's going to take place, at least the first season, it's going to take place in that year before Batman becomes Batman. So there's a lot of rich ground there to mine. But now the rumor says that the working title is Arkham. That could be huge. Likelihood that this is the way they're going? Ooh, not a whole lot to go on here. So this is a fun thought experiment, but there's not really any corroborating evidence. Again, if it's focusing on the PD, that kind of goes against the idea that they're going to name this Arkham, unless it's the PD filling up Arkham. And that seems like a little bit of a stretch. I'm going to put this right about 50%. I don't feel like there's enough to go against this or enough to support this to say one way or the other, so 50%. Next on our rumor mill list is the Marvels movie over on Marvel. So MCU is, we already know that we got Captain Marvel, we got Monica Rambeau as some sort of superhero. We don't know specifically which version of Monica Rambeau's superhero identity we will get, but we will be getting one of them. We also know that we're going to get Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. So these things are already known. This rumor says that, well, it's kind of 2 rumors. The first rumor says that Shamir Anderson has joined the cast of the movie. The second rumor piggybacks on that and says Anderson is going to be playing Adam Brashear, who is the Blue Marvel. That sounds awesome. I'm not gonna lie, sounds great. Likelihood that this is a thing is not the best source, but there's a lot that goes, the content of this makes a lot of sense. Because part of this is rumor based on rumor, we can only go so high, but we are going that high, and that is 50% probability that this will actually happen. But that is our rumor section, nerds. It's also our episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down low. If though you want to go deeper in the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net, patreon.com/generallynerdy if you are looking to support the channel more directly. There is a bunch of gear like we talked about at the beginning. You can go check out the gear on the website. Just click the general store tab at the top and see all of the different places to get your generally nerdy gear. And yeah, have fun with it. Let's do the thing and all the stuff. If you're falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, you can click or tap one of those 2 boxes right there to the left of my face to do that. Thank you very much, nerds. To the right of my face. I don't know sides. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.